You on with COVID. So the first question that we're going to ask is like, what were some advantages and disadvantages during online learning?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that some of the advantages of online learning, which you guys have probably experienced too, um, to some extent, is there's like some more flexibility, right? You get to set your own schedule a little bit more with your time. So for me, like I'm a morning person, so I like to get up and start my day and work. And I liked that I didn't have to do night classes anymore because I was setting my own schedule. But at the same, and then also there was flexibility even in learning style. So for me, I don't learn super well by just hearing somebody talk about something, like sitting in lectures. I like to actually be able to read things myself, or at least be able to read at the same time that someone was talking. So it let me kind of be able to learn in ways that worked better for me. And it also taught me new skills. So graduating in the time of the pandemic, obviously being able to work from home and be self-motivated and self-disciplined to set my own schedule is a good skill to have, and something that you guys will all have too now, from being able to do that even in junior high. But on the other hand, there's obviously some disadvantages to online learning, like you're missing hands-on experiences, which is a super important thing in college. One of the big things that you guys will see if you decide to go to college someday is you usually have some sort of senior project. So you guys have maybe even experienced that in having student teachers in your classrooms. So that's like a senior project for people that are education majors. So usually every discipline has some sort of like hands-on experience that's like that. But all of a sudden, we didn't have that anymore. We couldn't have the hands-on experience because we all had to be at our own homes. And that is a really big bummer. So that was replaced by simulations and things like that, which is basically like asking you to play a video game of something and then expecting them to actually be able to apply that to real life, which obviously does not work out as well as you'd like it to. And then I think another thing that was a really big disadvantage for me was working like in groups and like with other people became super challenging. Not only are you missing the time to like ask teachers questions and like have that feedback loop that is always happening in the classroom, but working with groups was really hard. Because of that flexibility of time, organizing times to work with my group projects and things like that in college, once there was no like permanent meeting time where we were all on campus together, was really, really difficult. And you miss that time just to have, even in things that aren't group projects, to have feedback from your peers and from your professors. So I missed out on that a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And then second question, what were some of your struggles during online learning?
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the big ones was just motivation. Obviously, you're going from being in a structured environment where you're going from, I mean, a little bit different than what you guys experience now, but similar, where you're like, you have different classes, you have professors, you have times where they expect you to be there. And all of a sudden that went out the window. Almost none of my classes had synchronous meeting times. So we didn't meet like over Zoom at a certain time every week. They just gave us all of the material and said, get it done. And that was really hard for me because I like having some structure. So adapting to like be self-motivated was difficult. I think another thing is just I missed out on relationships that you can build during college. And that was definitely a really big struggle because I like to build relationships with my peers in my classrooms or relationships with my professors. And that's something that is good to have, not only because relationships with other people improve you and you learn from them, but also because I'm applying for jobs when I come out of college. And I want to have people that I can look to as connections and as resources and references. And I missed out on that opportunity. And that was really difficult for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. So do you think things would be easier or harder if you were in another grade of school, like high school, while you learned online?
Yeah. I think in my opinion, and I'm sure other people will have different opinions about this too, I think it would have been harder if I'd been younger. I think even though some of the self-motivation was a struggle for me, I think it's something that I'd learned a lot and became very disciplined throughout college. And if you had asked me to do so much of that self-motivation whenever I was your guys' age, I don't know if I would have been able to do it to the same extent. I also think that a huge part of school, and really no matter what age you are, is the community part and like the experiences. And it's not just about your homework and just like about the lessons. It's like you learn things by working with other people in your classroom or being on a team with people, or even just like doing the fun stuff like having like dances or like sports like and like games to like go attend even if you're not playing. Like all of those things bring like an enriching experience to education. And I missed those in my senior year of college, but I also know that I would have missed them even more had I been in junior high or high school. And because you only get those chances one time. Like for me, I was involved in like musicals and stuff when I was in high school. And if I had missed out on those experiences, I think I would have, like, you don't get a chance later in life. Like, I'm not somebody that would have been professionally on like a Broadway stage or something. So like never again would I have that chance. And I think that even though maybe the education things would have been different at different levels, like if like studying on a college level, hello, like studying on a college level, obviously there's some amount of like rigor to the course that was difficult to take in by myself. But the actual like enriching experiences of junior high and high school would have been just really, really sad to miss.
Yeah. So what did online learning look for you like a day in the life, like your schedule? And like how did that differ from your regular schedule?
Yeah. So whenever I was on campus, I had a super busy schedule. So I was taking a full-time, actually more than a full-time class load, like completely maxed out. And then I also was working as a graphic designer for the university. And at the same time, volunteering at least 20 hours a week. So all of my time was booked. So I didn't have time to procrastinate because I was always jumping from one thing to the next. So any breaks that I had during the day, it was like, okay, well, this break is set aside for this class's homework assignment. And all of a sudden, all that structure was gone. I wasn't really volunteering very much anymore because the organizations with which I volunteered couldn't have us doing that anymore. My job got switched, that I was still doing some projects for graphic design for the university, but it was kind of just like on an as needed basis. And almost like I said, like almost none of my classes were synchronized. So I think I had one class that actually met at a regular time. And otherwise it was just get the work done whenever you can get it done. So what I did was I scheduled myself out like every week. I had a whiteboard, actually, like an old whiteboard that I drug out, and I would make a plan for my week and schedule basically everything how it would have been. So I would still get up in the morning like I normally would have at school, and I would schedule my day. Like in college, a lot of your classes get split, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes and Tuesday, Thursday classes. So I would kind of follow that regular pattern, and still try to do the same kind of classwork that I would have been doing on Mondays and Wednesdays as I would have normally been doing. And then honestly, what I did was I used a lot of like regular life things as motivation to get stuff done. So like in the morning, I would start working and stuff, and I would be like, okay, well, once you get your 8 a.m. class stuff done, then you can go take a shower, which I know is like really, really silly, but I just needed those like kind of mile markers to help me like get stuff done, or you need to get the stuff done before lunch. And then I still tried to wrap up in the evening every day so that I still had break time to just spend with my family, maybe like go outside, go on a walk, things like that. And I always set Fridays to be a blank day. I didn't schedule anything on Fridays, and I did that on purpose so that if I got behind on any of my work during the week, then I would have Friday to catch up on everything else or even get ahead. So there were a couple of my classes that my professors released all of the material right away. So I actually took time on my Fridays. If I didn't get behind on anything during that week, I would use my Friday to get ahead in those classes. And then by the end of the semester, I only had like 1 or 2 classes going because I'd finished all the rest of them. And those were my hardest classes. So I could really dedicate my time to like studying for those finals, writing those final papers, things like that.
All right. Well, thank you for interviewing with us.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Do I just end it? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.